dividend at the same time, without a sale. And that is the course that I intend to pursue, not to proceed with any sale, partial or otherwise, of Toronto Hydro. Now, you can see, as I go through this list, that there are no easy answers here. That's the truth of this. But I look, together with our officials and others, at all the options. And I do believe there is a way that we can build the things we need, starting with transit, so that we can meaningfully get at unacceptable levels of traffic congestion. And I want to tell you the criteria that I use to decide on my own position on this, which I will be taking forward to my colleagues at City Council and to the people of Toronto. First, I ask myself, is it fair? Does it give people a choice? And fairness includes looking at options that reduce the impact on Toronto residents by asking everyone who visits our city, who benefits from its services, to help shoulder a small part of the cost. People say that Toronto's population is 2.8 million. And that's true at night when people who live here are at home sleeping. But by day, the number of people in this city, and it's a good thing, but by day that number goes up dramatically with all the people who come to work or to visit, all the while using the services paid for by Toronto taxpayers. And that is not fair. My third criteria was that there should be a positive impact for our city, measures that would produce more than just money. And finally, I asked whether we could designate the money generated directly towards the things we need, so that people will know exactly how these new dollars will be spent and receive a transparent accounting each and every year. I believe that road tolls fits all of these criteria. A road toll on the DVP and the Gardiner Expressway of just $2 would raise the City of Toronto more than $200 million every year to build transit, to fix roads, and to relieve congestion. To achieve an equivalent amount from property taxpayers would involve an increase somewhere between 5 and 10%. Tolls are paid in cities around the world, places many of us have visited. On the Gardiner and the Don Valley Parkway, these tolls would be paid by those who drive in and out of our city, as well as by local 416 residents, sharing the burden among everyone who uses these City of Toronto-owned and financed roads. Tolls have been shown to reduce travel times and ease congestion, and they also encourage people to take transit. The introduction of tolls in Toronto would also happen just as our regional GO network and smart track systems expand and our local transit options accelerate, so that people will have a much broader range of transit options. And the money raised through these tolls would be directly invested in the expansion of our transit network. Together with the 0.5% levy that I announced last year on property taxes, this money would be held in a separate infrastructure fund and not be a part of the city's overall operating budget, so people have no idea as to how it is being invested. I will propose that this fund be overseen by an independent body and audited each year by the city's Auditor General. This is fair, this is transparent, and this will help us to build the things we need. Now, of course, implementing a new system for tolls will take some time, and we also have to address the gap that exists in our operating finances right now. This year, we asked all of our divisions and agencies, from the police to the library, to identify 2.6% in reductions to their operating budgets, to see if there were ways to do things differently, to set targets for our spending. I endured a lot of criticism for this, but I felt that it was just something we had to go through in order to cause people to spend the time and the energy, which they did, to look for different ways to do things, to look for efficiencies that could be achieved so that we could make sure to tell the taxpayers that we were working hard to find better ways to provide better services if we could for less money. I will tell you it has been a valuable exercise, as those of you who are in business, other kinds of enterprises know that these things can be. And it produced great insights, not to mention tens of millions of dollars in cost savings. But it also brought home to me just how much is at stake if we don't work together to get the city back on track. We cannot keep squeezing services for a growing population, a rapidly growing population, from our property tax base alone. And we cannot cut vital services that mean so much to people, especially those who are most in need. And that is why I will also be supporting straightforward, sensible tax reforms to fairly produce some additional operating revenues so as to ensure we can continue to provide the services to people who need them. I will be calling, for example, for an end to the city's vacant commercial and industrial property tax rebate, which subsidizes property owners for empty office space or boarded-up stores across our city. When it was first created, the idea made some sense. It was a promise to help our businesses through some difficult times. But the truth of the matter is that our city has subsidized property owners to the tune of $367 million between 2001 and 2013. And almost 50% of those payments have gone to the owners of empty spaces in the downtown core, where property values are in fact skyrocketing. By eliminating this rebate, we can save up to $22 million each and every year, and we can improve the vibrancy of our neighbourhoods from one end of the city to another. I also support making our city's voluntary destination marketing fee a mandatory hotel tax at all Toronto hotels. A hotel tax, used in most other major cities around the world, means that visitors to Toronto also contribute to protecting and enhancing the vibrancy and the quality of life that has drawn them here in the first place. And I think that, too, is fair. Airbnb and other online short-term rentals will also pay this tax to make sure we level the playing field and allow for fair competition, just as we did in the emerging sector of Uber and taxis of ground transportation. A hotel tax can contribute at least $20 million to our operating budget each year, on top of continuing the funding to Tourism Toronto, who does such great work advancing the reputation of our city and attracting people to come here. In the absence of those two measures, just those two measures, in this forthcoming year we would have to increase property taxes another 1.5% to achieve the same revenues. And so I will be recommending these two reforms to our budget chief, Councillor Gary Crawford, for implementation in 2017. When I achieved this office and was sworn into office as mayor, my first order of business after becoming mayor was to bring some civility back to City Hall, to get people working together again. And that extended to the governments working together, all levels of government, governments working together, all levels of government. It extended to people on the City Council working more effectively with the mayor. I believe that I have done that. But I also came with a plan. And I said that I was going to address the affordability in Toronto by focusing on the single biggest payment that people make to the City of Toronto each and every year, their property tax bill. And I would do that by limiting property tax increases through sound financial management and through achieving efficiencies and modernizing the city by limiting those property tax increases to the rate of inflation or less. I said that would be done, and that commitment has been met. I have focused on making things more functional around the City Hall, which is why I'm committed, working with my colleagues, to bringing forward sensible modernization initiatives and innovations that have support from councillors across the city, that will make life easier for our citizens in terms of dealing with their government, and will also save us, going forward, year after year, millions of dollars. And I have put my mind to how to make this city more livable. Today, I have a plan to make the most significant investment in transit and infrastructure in decades, to cut congestion and to get this city moving as we must. It will see us, yes, toll the Gardiner Expressway and the Don Valley Parkway, and dedicate every single penny raised to build transit and fix our roads, and by doing so, make a real difference on unacceptable traffic conditions and overcrowded, inadequate transit. That is what the public wants done. This is the way we get there. Simply put, I believe it is time to build. Thank you very much for being here today.